This is AI.R. Artists in Residence Broadcasting, coming to you once a week from New York City.
Hello there. I'm John Cullum, and this is Emily Frankel.
John Cullum's wife. And we're doing a post for my blog,
Right.
M's Talkery.
M's Talkery. So be sure and tune in to M's Talkery.
Tune in to hear what John and M think about guilt.
What?
Guilt.
Wait a minute.
G-U-I-L-T.
Emily.
Guilt.
You sprung that one on me.
Yes. What? Do you have a guilt button?
Do I have a guilt button? Emily, I'm a Southern Baptist. We're as bad as the Catholics. The only problem is we don't even have confession. So we got no way of getting rid of it.
Guilty, guilty, guilty.
Guilty, guilty, guilty indeed. In fact, you don't know this, but as I get older, I start having these terrible guilt feelings about things that happened 20, 30 years ago that I thought
you didn't handle right.
That's right. I have terrible feelings about some of the times that I've endangered your life and JD's life, but in your case, we went swimming. When you were pregnant with JD, we went swimming out over a mile out into the ocean, and you couldn't even swim.
I was wearing flippers.
You wore flippers, and you.
And I remember you took us out in a rowboat once, John David and me. Weren't we both in the rowboat? No, that was just me.
That was another occasion when you were mad at me, and you said. I said, well, we could. You kept saying, where are we going to go? I said, well, we could go to that island. And I pointed out that it was about 3 miles off, out into the sea. Then you said, let's go. And I said, I was just kidding. No, you said, I want to go. And we went over to this island.
So you shouldn't be guilty. I should be guilty. No, I'm guilty. I am guilty as charged.
Okay, do you have guilt feelings? Not very much.
I go on to the next thing. If I've made a mistake, I do determine that was a mistake, and I'm pretty clear to myself, and then I pull a window shade. I close the door.
You close the iron door.
I do close the door because it becomes confusing to keep reviewing something that you didn't do the way you ought to do. And if you keep on going back over it, it only gets worse and worse.
Yeah, well.
So where's your guilt button?
You punched every place you touch me. I've got a guilt button.
Well, you have a guilt button about John David,
yes,
our
I do.
son, and I feel that
I have a guilt button.
What
about you? Many areas, things that I've done that. You remember walking across the street and you were holding on to my arm and I tripped and fell and you broke your tooth. You remember that?
Oh, I remember.
Every time I walk by that place over on just off Union Square, when I go across that intersection, I get this terrible, terrible feeling of guilt.
Well, I'm going to now do something. Here's a surgery. I'm removing your guilt.
Oh, I'm going to float right off the screen. Hold me down, Em.
Let's see if I'll float. Whoa. Down. Now, are you guilt again?
Yeah, I feel. Not only do I feel light, but I feel strangely lightheaded without my guilt. You better put it back in.
Okay. Boom.
Oh.
Okay. No, I was thinking that one of the guilts that we share is that when JD came into the world, we were both at the height or coming into the height of our careers. And they were separate careers, and there were times when I was away, and there were times when John was away. But one of us was always home with John David. But we still didn't give him the childhood with trips to the circus. Yes, he went to the zoo, but I think someone else took him, not us, because we were too busy. And yes, he got a huge amount of us, but not in the fun and games and amusement things that parents do for children. So I feel guilty about that. What do you feel?
Well, I feel good when I think about some of the things you did for John David. You remember you made a whole bunch of cards for him. You taught him how to read when he was
9 months old. But that was
And
a
I
big
told
thing.
him, to be or not to be, he could say that. He could say
He
the
could
soliloquy
quote
when he
Cameron.
was less than 2 years old.
But that's just parent stuff. But
Yeah, that was for our benefit.
I think that we both feel we could have done more for
Yeah.
our son, except he's turned out to be a wonderful, wonderful guy.
Yeah,
We like him.
yeah. He's like, yeah, I do too.
Okay, I'm taking away your guilt buttons again.
Okay,
We're finishing this.
all right.
We are not guilty.
I feel like I've had a confession,
Okay.
and I feel much better.
Okay, then this
All right.
is John Cullum and M. We're not going to talk anymore about guilt. We got rid of the guilt.
That's right. No more guilt.
Okay.
Me, oh God. Oh. Thank you, Emily. I think we better get out of here.
Okay, let's go.
So long, everybody. We'll see you next week.
This is AI.R. See you next week.